Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about some of the different things going on with the SEC. We had some stock up teams, some stock down teams, and we'll continue to do this for every of the big time conferences going forward. Definitely some big time things to break down across the entire college football landscape. But let's get into a top 10 Tuesday, and let's get into one that is going to be very contentious. I'm almost banking on that for a couple of comments to come through telling me I'm entirely wrong about the ranking of this. And frankly, I'll be totally honest. I am not the most well-traveled college football fan. I have not been to as many stadiums as I would have liked, and absolutely will be trying to change that over the next couple of seasons. But this is just kind of based off, stories I've heard or watching through the TV. You can feel some of the energy through the TV. Just different things that I'm pulling from that it might not be the best list. It might not be the list that I have, a couple of years from now even, but I feel pretty good about it. I think these are the ones that, in my opinion, stand out the most from when I see them in videos, when I watch them, when I know all the, history behind it, whatever it is. These are the ones that kind of stand out to me, and it's a tough list to put together. I won't lie to you. It is not an easy thing to put together because you don't want to leave anyone out. And there's about, 50 really good atmospheres across college football. But in my opinion, there are a couple that stand out. And one I want to start with at number 10. Well, I do want to do some honorable mentions first. I have Nebraska is obviously one of the best fan bases in the entire college football world. Virginia Tech is just out of the world incredible on the Enter Sandman as they're coming into the stadium. Clemson is just incredible, although I might not be as high on Clemson as everyone else is. Alabama obviously is a great environment, a very tough place to play, but I would argue that has a little bit more to do with the teams that have been there rather than the fan base around it, but that's beside the point. And then I have Florida State kind of in the honorable mentions as well, not super huge on Doak Campbell Stadium, excuse me. A very, very cool place to play, but I just don't think they stand up to the other ones on this list. And number 10, I have South Carolina. Williams-Brice Stadium is a special place. Going in, the entrance with Sandstorm is just off the charts incredible, but also, this is not a program that has lit the college world on fire. They haven't necessarily done incredible things at South Carolina over multiple years. They aren't always the best team in the SEC. In fact, they're very rarely the best team in the SEC, but those fans show up all the same every single Saturday, and they are rowdy and they are crazy, and it makes it a really tough place to play. There have been some incredible games there in the past, and I'm sure there will be in the future, but Carolina is just a little bit different. There's an energy in that stadium and outside that stadium on Saturdays that is just a little bit different, and I think there's going to be definitely some Clemson fans that get very mad at me for this, but I just think there's an energy in South Carolina that just a notch above Clemson. Not far by any means, but I would say South Carolina is definitely one that I felt I had to put on this list. And then I had Texas A&M. Kyle Field is a very, very interesting place. I absolutely love it. There are some traditions that I don't fully understand, that I can't fully wrap my head around, that aren't for me, which is probably why I can't wrap my head around it. But it doesn't change the energy. Those fans are there, the night before at midnight doing the yell, and then they come back out at noon the next day and they're ready to roll. And there's just an energy in that stadium. That's why they've won some of those big time games that have been there, mainly Alabama a couple of years ago. That place was on fire, and it was just incredible. You could feel it through the TV as you were watching it, and just it's one of those places that you just have to go. Very excited at some point in my life to be able to find my way over there and watch a game, hopefully a Texas game, because I think that would be the real one to see in Kyle Field. But I just loved it. I love the energy in there. I love the traditions, although I don't fully understand them. I think they're incredible for college football, and I think the fan base is just as connected as any fan base in the entire country. And then I have UGA at 8. I think a lot of people would have flipped Kyle Field and Sanford Stadium, but this is the one I've been in. I talked about it earlier. I was a UGA student, graduated last year, so I might be a touch biased, but this is a special environment nonetheless. The fans are absolutely insane. The people out there, the Spike Squad, whatever, groups that come out, it's off the charts. And everything in that city revolves around that stadium on that day. It's just, you wake up on a Saturday in Athens and it has that different feel to it. And I've been in the best atmosphere I've ever been as a college football fan, as a sports fan. Let's just put it out there. As a sports fan, was the Tennessee game in 2022. That game was absolutely insane from start to finish. That place was rocking, and it rained throughout. No one left their seat. It was just incredible what that was. And Tennessee, who walked in as number one in the country, pretty much walked away totally helpless because the fans and everything in between was just all over them that day. And then at number 7, I have Husky Stadium, and this is the one that for the life of me I cannot figure out. It's not a disrespect thing to Washington. It's actually more of love to Washington than anything else, but for the life of me, I cannot understand why a program like Washington, who has had really good seasons in the past, but isn't necessarily a blue blood, isn't necessarily an Auburn or a Tennessee or a UGA or an A&M, one of these big-time college football programs, but every single week it's insane in that building. Every single week those fans are absolutely out in force and do just incredible, incredible things to make it really tough on their opponent. So I really love this one. It's one that I have to get out and experience myself because right now, I'm all the way in the Southeast. They're all the way up there in the Pacific Northwest. It's a little confusing to me. I don't fully understand how Husky Stadium is as incredible as it is, but it is. It's just out of this world awesome. So very much like that stadium, I'm very excited to, at some point, get out there and see what all this hype is about because it's got to be incredible. And then I have Florida, the Swamp at 6. I think this one, if you just look at the Florida State game last year, you'll know what this place is about. It's just insane. There's so many fans packed into that area. It's one of the most iconic, built stadiums in all of college football. It's got an energy in that building that is just different. I think the color scheme between the orange and the blue makes it just that much more special. Really stands out. Really has a lot of energy to it, and I think it's just a very, very special place. So very much like the Swamp, I think that's got to be one of the toughest places to play in the entire country. So definitely really like that one. But let's get into the top 5, and it starts with Autzen Stadium over there in Eugene for me. Whether it's, the Duck, I don't know what is special about this place. What is so incredible about this place? I don't know if it's the Duck. I don't know if it's the energy around it, the cool jerseys, whatever it is. It's working. That place is absolutely incredible every single Saturday. Everyone that walks in there has a tough time. And frankly, this, along with Washington, it's going to be interesting to see teams like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State walk into those stadiums because I'm sure there's going to be part of them that thinks, this isn't that tough of an environment. It's West Coast. They don't care about football as much. And then you walk into those stadiums and it gets really, really fast. So I very much am excited about that. I think that stadium is just always on fire, always a lot of fun to watch. And then I had Neyland Stadium. The checker board is just incredible. It's one of the coolest things in all of college football. And then Neyland at night is just insane. It's absolutely wild. I mean, that Alabama game in 2022 is all the evidence you need for why this is an incredible atmosphere in college football. I think you could feel the energy from the other side of the TV. You were almost nervous for Tennessee fans, and I'm not a Tennessee fan. So there was an energy about that game. There was a juice about that game and about this place that really is unmatched. It's just incredible to watch this, and every single Saturday, those fans are out in force and in that not my favorite color of orange, I'll be totally honest, but a very, very aggressive and intense color of orange, and they all get together and go crazy for 4 hours. So love Neyland Stadium, another one that I absolutely have to get to. Jordan-Hare Stadium is one that maybe some people don't expect to be this high, but the reality is Auburn's fan base is it's a weird thing. It's one of the least credited fan bases for being as steadfast as they are. They've been through some lean years. Let's be totally honest. Being kind of beaten up by Alabama year after year. You've had some incredible moments. There's no two ways about that. But for the most part, Alabama's kind of controlled that since Nick Saban showed up. And there's been some tough times, but every single Saturday, this is a tough place to play. Last year, when it wasn't necessarily the best year for them, Georgia came in and they took them to the absolute wire. Carson Beck and Brock Bowers needed to kind of go Superman mode to kind of fix that game. But the reality is this is always a tough place to play. This is always going to be a tough place to play. And if Auburn can minimize that talent gap just a little bit more, it's going to get really interesting around Auburn going forward. And then Penn State, Happy Valley is a special place. There's no two ways about that. I think it's the center of State College. It is everything that happens in State College on that Saturday is all catered around this game. And it is a very, very special place. The whiteout is obviously one of the atmospheres that is most indicative of college football. It's as much of a college football atmosphere as you can possibly get. Everyone around the same team, wearing the same color, everyone going absolutely crazy in that stadium. So I think there is just an energy in that place that is different. Obviously, they'd like to play a little bit better in those big time games in that stadium, but the reality is it doesn't mean the energy isn't great. It just means those teams that walk in are just ridiculous. And then finally, this is number one. I refuse to have a conversation where this is not number one, frankly, because this one's different. It stands alone in pretty much all facets. The energy inside and outside of that stadium is different. Frankly, the fans' BAC level is off the charts, which doesn't necessarily hurt by any means. The chants, the pageantry, playing neck, everything in between, it's incredible. LSU Stadium is one where I turn it on a normal Saturday when they're playing Vandy because I know those fans are going to be crazy. All the same, they're just ridiculous. And I absolutely love this stadium. I think a night game at LSU is the very first thing that I would show someone that's trying to get into college football. If I had to encapsulate college football in one moment, it would either be that or have them watch the Red River Rivalry because I think there's special things about that one too. And frankly, if I was going to include that game in this, it'd probably be about 2 or 3 on this list, but that's beside the point. LSU is a special place. There's no two ways about that. The fans are special. The program is special. The atmosphere in that building is different. There's no two ways about that. Very much like this place, and I think to me, they're the runaway number one. I'll be totally honest. I think there's incredible atmospheres across the country. I don't think there's one that is Death Valley. I'll just put it that way. Which is why it is the real Death Valley over Clemson, but that's beside the point. I made a lot of Clemson enemies during this segment, I realized. But at the end of the day, that will do it for this edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It does make a huge difference. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of the social pages for all of the content and updates you could possibly need. We just have incredible people doing incredible work across every single sport you could want, so definitely check those out, and we have you totally covered over here at GSMC. But thank you once again for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.